What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 92 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, what we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read in the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is October 15th, 2021. I'm your host, Louis Menchaca. And joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Daniel Lima.
Sup?
So, Dan, a couple of things. First off, number one, we got to say goodbye to the gameplay.
No. Louis, we're not supposed to announce that we're ending the podcast yet. That's a surprise.
Yeah, it is a surprise. Yeah, so I decided, so the reason why this big box TV was here in the office is because my dad had knee replacement surgery and he was living downstairs instead of upstairs, so basically this had to come out of the closet and had to be parked over here. Now that he's moved back upstairs, I can now park this ugly bitch back into the closet. So yeah, that's what's going to happen.
All right. So for the video watchers, we're no longer going to see Smash Brothers Melee in the background of Lewis's video feed. But Lewis, you got to tell me what is the last? If this is the last one, yes. Which characters are fighting on the final battle here?
I decided to do a battle of the Marios. So I did Mario versus Dr. Mario. So place your bets.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with I don't know on this one. I'm gonna go with Mario. I'm gonna stay with the classic.
I'm going to go with Dr. Mario on this one. I don't know the differences on Mario and Dr. Mario and Melee, but I will tell you this. There was a famous Smash Melee player named Shroomed, and he mained Dr. Mario, and he made it into top 8s oftentimes. So if I'm going to go with, I don't know the tier list because I don't know the bottom half of the tier list of Melee off the top of my head. So I would just imagine that Dr. Mario is probably more viable. So my bet's on Dr. Mario.
Now, was he on shrooms while he was playing?
I think it's more of because he's like a mushroom, because Mario, mushroom, shroom. There you go.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that would have been a cool meta fact.
That would have been meta. The other thing I just wanted to announce here for housekeeping is I almost lost my voice yesterday. Like I recorded a 2-hour-long podcast by myself, no co-host. This is all for you guys for the Ready Play Network. So I have my little spin-off show called Ready Play Movies, and for the audio people, the show is already up on podcast feeds. For you YouTube people, it's on a 1-week delay. So this coming Tuesday, on this very YouTube channel, you guys will be able to watch me just be delirious. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like a psycho or crazy maniac, just kind of like mumbling to himself. So
I listened to the first 30 minutes of that show so far. Number one, I was very surprised that you were able to just talk for 2 hours. Got some questions for you about that. But number two, the first 30 minutes actually sounded like an average ass podcast. You barely could even tell that it was just one person talking and not two. Which I don't know if that should be concerning as far as your delirious comment or not. But the other thing too is that Louis, you're doing that now and you're putting it out there. But I've been doing that for a long time, and the way I do it is when I send my friends audio posts on WhatsApp. That's my equivalent. Louis knows. I actually think it's a Brazilian habit because I think I've seen people make fun of this, but it's not that uncommon for Brazilian. Maybe this is a Latino thing in general. I don't know. But we'll just send each other these long ass, like sometimes 10-minute long audio posts for no reason. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to do that. And I felt my voice going a little hoarse during the taping.
Were you taking water breaks?
No. I just kept talking and talking. I
Dang.
never stopped. I think the only time I took 2 sips of water that entire time. And that was when I was playing a sound effect. That was it.
I couldn't handle that because on this show, whenever we do this, in episodes where I host, I go through 2 bottles of water consistently. In episodes where I co-host, I go through at least 1. So I am pretty used to just letting the water flow through my body as I'm doing this. Every time I'm not talking, usually you see me sipping on my water, and before you notice, the bottle is gone. And it's actually been one of the most beneficial elements of the show to my life. It's like, I was never a big water drinker. I don't drink as much water as I'm supposed to, but doing the show has helped me actually become a better water drinker. So props to that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. So hopefully you guys like it. There was a lot of news to cover. Like I had 2 weeks worth of news, and then also like just there were some funny updates that happened from news stories that if you guys watch Ready Play Movies frequently, then there were like some like ongoing news stories that concluded, like some sagas that concluded. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well. But yeah, anyways, with all that out of the way, Dan, this is a video game podcast, so let's talk about some video games. So with today specifically, I just wanted to say that if Battle Bus was still a thing, Nickelodeon All Stars would become part of the Battle Bus segment week to week. I just got to say that.
Fair enough.
But with that being said, there were a couple of things that I did. I just want to say. Number one, Michelangelo is broken. He's been banned in a tournament already.
Really?
In an upcoming tournament for SmashCon. He has this infinite that's not part of like the tech. What do you call it? Jab locks. Like the thing got patched out, or which I think I didn't actually. Yeah, that got patched out. News update from last week.
Yeah, last we talked about this. You were just talking about how every character was broken because of the jab lock.
Yeah, but now that's been patched out. Which I don't know if it's patched out in consoles, but I know it's patched out in PC. I don't know if PC is getting like the priority, but in SmashCon they're running it with the Switch consoles, the Switch version. And so basically, Michelangelo has this neutral air, like he does like a neutral air with the spinning nunchucks, and then he can grab you and then throw you up, and then do another neutral air and grab you and throw you up, and then so he can like basically walk you out to this blast zone and then grab you for the last time and then forward throw you out the blast zone and still make it back. Mewtwo King, one of the famous Smash Melee players, got 3-stocked in a tournament because of that loop. And so now he's been banned. And also before the patch that happened last Friday, which was the day the episode posted, Michelangelo had an infinite recovery where he can do this turtle shell thing, and he can jump infinitely, like even to the sky and like stall up there. So it's kind of crazy that this game has so much jank and so many players just discovering exploits after exploits after exploits that the developers are going to be hard at work kind of like patching out. So.
Sometimes that's part of the fun of games like that, especially when you're there day one, you're there from the beginning. It's like seeing things like that unfold and the stories that come out of it and the things that people are able to encounter until, a year later, you got a lot more polished experience where there's not as many exploits and stuff, right? Yeah. So I bet that I think it's been enjoyable for the community. I would bet.
I wonder what it would have been like if Melee came out day one today. Like, what would the experience or the how it would be. But anyways, as far as my impressions, I promised you guys impressions because I didn't play it last week. I was going off of gameplay footage that I watched. So I have seen like Melee players and actually even Smash Ultimate players for that matter playing the game at a high level. Like they're doing like this dance, they're wave dashing and they're like going really fast. They're going like freaking Dragon Ball Z here, right? They're just going, just fast. I get my hands on the game. And I am just not like that. I am completely like utterly trash. I am very clunky. I'm very slow. I can't do shit. I'm a total scrub. It's terrible. Like it really makes me feel like I'm a day one like player of Smash this is how it feels like. Granted, I wasn't even good at Smash Ultimate day one either. So I guess it just takes work for me to build up to that. But so I'm not entirely sure if I want to put the work in, to tell you the truth. So.
Let me ask you this.
Look at the Marios. They're infinitely like upbeing to the platform, by the way. Look at this. They're stuck.
Oh, yeah.
They're stuck in a loop.
That is so interesting. That is so fucking funny.
Sorry.
I wonder
distracted by that.
Yeah, just leave it happening.
Okay.
I think they broke it. I think they broke the loop.
But that was going on for a while.
That was great, though.
But go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask you, because I actually have barely seen anything from this game other than just the character announcements and stuff. Does this follow the same Smash mechanic of a percentage going up, and the higher the percentage, the easier it is for them to fly off the stage, and once they fly off the stage, that's how you kill somebody?
Yes.
Okay, so no HP. All right, so it's not like the traditional like fighter HB style.
No, but you know what's kind of interesting is
Okay.
like the game has no voice actors, they have no items, and yeah, it's kind of like a very bare bones Smash just from like a feature set. So
Mm.
there's no alternate costumes either, by the way, like at all.
Hmm.
So I think it's kind of this
Interesting.
game is kind of like a little, I don't know. It shows its budget in a bad way
Yeah.
at times, but like there's still
What's the
potential.
word people say? Half baked,
Half baked,
maybe. That's why
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's still potential because the community is really loving it and they're really digging deep in it. And I gotta
Yeah.
say like I'm not sure I'm gonna be a part of that. Like I just it's just so clunky and like it's so unintuitive, and it would take away. I would have to develop new muscle memory for their
Hmm.
for their mechanics and their moves that I would just. And also, even melee players complain that the game hurts their hands, like because they have so much inputs that they have to do, especially with the shoulder buttons and the trigger buttons, that it cramps their hands, which melee has been known to do as well, by the way, but even worse.
I have another question. There's quite a few characters in this game. Are there characters that are clones of each other, where the move set is
Nope.
mostly the same?
No,
No.
no, they're
Okay.
all unique. The only thing they copied and pasted the grabs. Everyone has the same grab animation, so there's that.
Okay. Okay. So that's nice, at least some uniqueness there. Because I know people are not big fans of clones when they appear in Smash and stuff, and they had an easy opportunity to do that with like all the different Ninja Turtles and stuff. But so glad to know that they didn't do that. So it's not as cheap as it could have been. I feel like that's kind of the new era of games of this type. These games that come out with the intent of being a live service that's getting updated and getting new additions as time goes on. It's become more acceptable to have a game that comes out in a state where it's not feature complete, or that you wouldn't look at as feature complete, as long as it's fun and people can find some enjoyment out of it. They can always add the content later on. Now everybody has a different opinion of that, whether that's acceptable or not. I feel like if you don't want that to be the case, you can always just wait. You can always just wait another year, and then buy the game. Then you're going to buy it cheaper, and you're going to buy it patched up and with more characters and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, but I hope this game finds its audience and they continue to improve on it.
yeah. So Dan,
No?
I did the Lewis thing. I bought the game, and it's still in its shrink wrap. So go ahead
Oh,
and tell me about your impressions on Metroid Dread.
Metroid Dread. Yes, the new Metroid game in a really long time. This is not the new game in the Prime franchise, of course, but it is the final game, supposedly, in the traditional Metroid series, whose last game I think would have been, because like Samus Returns came out on the 3DS, but that was a remake, and then Zero Mission was also a remake. So I think
Fusion.
the last original one was Fusion, right? Yeah, and that was all the way back in the Game Boy Advance days. But this game is pretty good. I've put about 2 hours into it. In the beginning, I actually thought it took like a little bit to get going. The way that the game presents its original story is you're just clicking through a bunch of like just text boxes, explaining like the lore and what you're going to be doing and stuff. And then when the game finally gets going, it took a little bit till I started really getting a grip on the mechanics of it. But I've already gotten to the point where I'm in the middle of the loop and enjoying it quite a bit. And I find it interesting that on the internet, I'm seeing a lot of love for this game. The general consensus for this game seems to be that people love it, that people think it's the best Metroid game in a while, that, oh, this is so much better than Samus Returns. I keep seeing those types of takes. And that also people seem to think the game is very hard. Now, the funny thing is, so far, I don't agree with a lot of those statements. The first one is that I actually thought Samus Returns was a very good game. So far, this also seems like a very good game to me, but in the same, like, I put them, to me, they're both like A tier. Like, I don't look at Samus Returns as like the C tier game as some people are treating it. So to me, this is just the same studio, Mercury Steam. They just took what they did with Samus Returns, put it on the Switch, polished it up, added a few new things, and that's what Metroid Dread is.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that I haven't found, and maybe it's because I'm still relatively early on in the game, I haven't found it to be that particularly hard. Like, this is not the Dark Souls of the Metroid games. I found it relatively easy to follow and go through, and I haven't gotten stuck yet. Once again, I'm still relatively early on in the game, about 2 hours in. Um, Now, I do want to point out some of the things that this game does different than other Metroid games. This game introduces new moves that Samus can do that she couldn't in other games. They bring back the counter that she had on Samus Returns, which was a big part of combat. But they also introduce this slide mechanic that allows Samus to slide under certain obstacles, as well as sometimes slide under enemies to come out like on the other side. That is implemented in the first boss fight, for instance.
No need to turn into
and
a
then
ball.
I have not gotten the Morph Ball yet, so I've not gotten to that part yet. But yeah, so there's a few new movesets here. And then the other thing is that there's this almost stealth-ish element to this game, which is that there are areas of the map that are under control of these robots named Emmy. And these are robots that Samus at first is not able to defeat. You're not able to defeat these enemies unless you acquire certain abilities later. And so when you encounter them, you kind of have to go around them and hope that they don't see you. The point that I'm in the game right now, I've just recently acquired this invisibility cloak that helps me in those segments. Or you just kind of got to go around them. You got to run away from them. Once they detect you, they're going to chase you and they're going to kill you. So you just kind of got to like make a run for it, or just avoid them seeing you from the beginning. So that also adds a whole new element to the Metroid games, because I don't remember them ever having something like that where it's like, oh, I'm going into an Emmy area right now. Let me be careful. Let me make sure, I see the route that they're taking. I'm trying to avoid that route. If they see me, I just got to make a run for it. I need to see where the exits are before, I get in trouble and stuff like that. So almost adds an extra survival element to the game. But so far, so good. I'll have further thoughts because this is a game that I do intend on finishing probably over the next few weeks. Yeah.
So do you think that the opening cutscenes do a good job of what do you call it? The opening cutscenes do a good job of getting you and filled up, like kind of caught up with the lore, so that way you can enjoy whatever plot twist that they're gonna throw at you.
Yeah, I feel like they do a decent enough job at it, but at the end of the day, I kind of feel like Metroid, and this is true for the majority of Nintendo games, they're not really about the story. I feel like the story a lot of times there is just kind of there. Like people like to get really into the story for the Zelda games, but when you really look at it, in the game, it's
IGN did a 30-minute timeline explained video. You know what I mean?
I know. That's my point. It's like, but if you watch those videos, you can see that a lot of times we're almost kind of grasping at straws. Like it's like there's not. No, these games are not. They're not The Last of Us. You know what I mean? They're not those, or they're not something like Mass Effect or Skyrim,
where the centerpiece of Metroid.
Exactly, where the gameplay is the centerpiece. So, like for instance, Samus Returns, which is a remake of Metroid 2. The story there is, there's 40 Metroids in this world that are roaming free. You got to kill all of them. So that's literally what the story is, and then you do it. So. Yeah. There's it's relatively simple, so I don't think there's a lot to it. In this game, the story is, supposedly all the Metroids and this alien race or whatever. Supposedly they were gone. This alien parasite was gone, and then Samus receives like a photo from this planet, being like, oh, like they're still alive there, and then she goes to check it out. And then she ends up getting stuck in this planet, and now she's trying to get out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the story is, what the setting is. But really, at the end of the day, it's more about the mechanics of the game. And yeah.
And my last question is: do you play it? Have you been playing it primarily on handheld or on TV? Because I've been seeing YouTube videos talking about that it doesn't scale well on a TV, and it's better to be played on handheld.
So far, I've only played it on the TV, actually, which is unusual for me because I often play the Switch on handheld more often. But, I was thinking, this game looks good. I think Metroid is usually kind of like a graphical showcase for Nintendo consoles. Within Nintendo's limitations, those games usually look really good.
Yeah.
So I want to see it on my TV. And I have to say, I was not impressed. And I wasn't sure if it was an issue with the game being on the TV, like you said, the scaling. But the game looks good. It does not look excellent. And I can't quite pinpoint why. I've also had a few instances where my frame rate seemed to drop. I was in the middle of the action and I could feel because the game is very fluid typically, but, I got into intense moments of, shooting a million bullets and being in the middle of a bunch of enemies, where suddenly it felt like I felt that drop from like 60 to 30 or something, and then you can notice it for a few seconds.
Yeah. And all the
So
cutscenes
yeah,
are in
I could
30 as
see.
well. Yeah.
And I feel like the thing too, Lewis, is that remember I have this on my new 80-inch TV, so I
Flex.
feel like when you when you get that kind of game, that Nintendo's games, they're not typically super high poly, and they're not, they don't have super high res textures. The moment you put that on a TV that big, and I'm sitting right in front of it, it just makes games like that not look as good as Forza Horizon 4 would look on the Series X, or even the Master Chief Collection, or something like that. So yeah.
All right. And by the way, we got the Mario loops going on again. By the way. So, anyways, while that gets itself sorted out, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and read you guys some headlines. Metroid Dread has enjoyed a strong first week in Japan and already outsold nearly every other installment in the region in its opening few days. Shall you comment here, or shall I read the next one?
You can read the next one.
All right. Metroid Dread has caused a boost in sales for other titles in the series across Nintendo platforms because obviously, you know what I mean? I'd
Yeah,
imagine like
yeah,
the
that
Wii
one's pretty
Virtual
obvious.
Console is like banging right now. So,
Yeah. So we talked before about. I think we both made this prediction. Actually, I think that this had the potential of being the highest selling Metroid game ever, and I think it will be. I think it will be because I don't think it will be that hard to do that.
yeah.
And every first party game on the Switch so far has enjoyed millions of sales. For the most part, even ports. So a new entry in the Metroid franchise, which has its fans. I think this will be a lot of people's first Metroid game. I think there will be a lot of people that were old Metroid fans that maybe skipped some of the most recent Nintendo consoles that now have a Switch that will go and buy this game. And I think this will definitely be a high selling game, and a lot of people are also bringing it up in Game of the Year conversation already. So this could also be a potential Game of the Year candidate at the end of the year.
Yeah. And by the way, the white Nintendo Switch OLED is a backdoor Metroid edition. Just want to throw that out there.
Yep, yep, yep.
The other thing I was gonna bring up is prediction. Like, is Metroid Dread gonna outsell Metroid Prime 4? Like at the end when it's all said and done.
I feel like there's it's possible, but I feel like we can't predict that until we've seen what Metroid Prime 4 is.
Hmm.
Because Louis, let me ask you this: don't you think there's a chance, at least a chance, that Metroid Prime 4 turns out to be a dud?
That's blasphemy, and no, don't you dare say it. There's like, I don't think there really isn't a bad Prime game, so that would be terrible if
The
it was.
the reason why I say that is because we seem to we give Nintendo a lot of slack, right?
Hmm.
And for any other game that typically goes through the type of development hell that
Like the
that game has gone
343
through, we would.
Industries that we give them shit,
Yeah,
or I
yeah,
give them
we would be
shit.
giving them shit and being like, "Oh, that game is gonna suck" or whatever. But somehow we still just keep our hopes up for Metroid Prime 4, a game that we have not seen anything of.
Yeah,
Let me remind everybody, we have not seen anything of it. So I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. I don't. I actually, if I had to bet, I bet it's going to be great. I believe it's going to be great. I hope for it to be great. But I'm just saying, this game has been in development for a long time. It has changed studios. Even after it's changed studios, it's already been like, I don't know, like 3 years, and we still have seen nothing of it.
yeah,
Nothing of it. Besides, it suffers from the expectation problem. I believe the expectation for Metroid Dread were already relatively low, so it was easy to beat them from the moment it came out. But Metroid Prime 4, the expectations for that are much higher.
yeah.
So even if Metroid Prime 4 turns out to be as
Okay,
good a game as Metroid Dread, it's probably not going to review as well because people, this game has been wished for like 10 years now,
yeah.
you know?
Fair
So,
enough. Fair enough. That's an interesting thing. I was never expecting that. I honestly, if I were to put some money on it, like I would expect Metroid Dread to outsell Prime because I think if you look at like the Mario series, the 2D Mario's outsell the 3D Mario's because 2D is
mm,
easier to grasp. You know what I mean? So I
right.
think that would be the
More
thing that would
approachable.
make it push it over the edge. But anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
we were we were on and on about this. My bad. It was I put that I accept full responsibility. Well, go ahead and move on to the topics of discussion. All right, Dan. We have some extra news. I'm just kidding. All right. So first things first. Jim Ryan says, "I would love a world where hundreds of millions enjoy our games." This comes from us. This comes to us from GamesIndustry.biz, and it says here that Sony Interactive Entertainment boss Jim Ryan says he wants PlayStation games to be reaching hundreds of millions of players, not just tens of millions. In a keynote for fireside chat during GI Live London, the PlayStation boss says that a hit game on PS4 or PS5 is around 10 to 20 million sales, but hopes that that will change as gaming becomes more ubiquitous as movies and music. Quote, I hope that PlayStation 5, and I really believe that PlayStation 5 will be Sony's biggest and best and most loved PlayStation yet. I hope that that will happen, Ryan said when he asked about his hopes for the future. He's basically saying that the PS5 is going to outsell the PS2 with the 155 million units. That's a tall order. Quote, I would also like to see a world where the games that we make at PlayStation can be enjoyed by many tens of millions of people, perhaps hundreds of millions of people. Right now, success with the current console model, a really great PlayStation hit, you're talking about 10 or 20 million people being able to play that game. So, you know what? I'm going to stop the article right there because I think that's pretty much the heart of it right there. So, what's kind of interesting is like this interview or this fireside chat, Jim Ryan doesn't talk about, reaching a bigger, broader audience by putting these games out on PC because that just kind of seems like it was like a shoe in, and it's because of that we want to bring you guys more games or that kind of stuff. I don't know.
That's interesting because that's kind of been the read on it. The read on it from the audience has been, oh, they must be planning to bring more games to PC or to do other stuff. And the truth is, we don't know that. He was not specific about it. He did not say that. He's really just talking about what we've already said a million times here, which is that he wants more people to play PlayStation games. However, it does lead you naturally to start asking yourself those questions. Well, how is that possible, right? In the current console model, and he does say something about how, in the current console model, meaning that maybe he's not fully happy with the current console model, or that does not satisfy his ambitions, that he can't achieve. He can't achieve the numbers that he wants to achieve in the current console model, basically, is what he's suggesting. Yeah. So it does make you wonder, like, and I kind of wanted this to be here so that I could ask you, Louis, like, do you think Sony is going to do anything different to achieve this goal? Or do you think that just means that they just want to push to sell as many PS5s as they possibly can?
I mean, I think that's the case. But it's kind of interesting. It's like the attach rate. The only way you can hit 100 million, the only way you can hit 100 million sales of The Last of Us Part 3 is if you had 100 million PS5s out there and it was a 100% attach rate, which is, I don't know, unrealistic, I think. I don't think a game can, no matter how popular it is, can be so dominant on a console because when people buy consoles, they buy it for different reasons. They have different tastes.
I feel like the highest attach rates that we've seen are around 50%, with things like Mario Kart, which are extremely accessible games, which is not the case with the majority of Sony games. In fact, I think if anything, the games that we would see the highest attach rate for are games like Spider-Man.
I would say 25. What? I would say 25% attach rate.
Yes. But if any game goes above that, it would probably be something like Spider-Man, where it's enjoyed by both kids and adults and teenagers and hardcore gamers and casual gamers, like a game that everybody wants to play, which is different than something like The Last of Us that can be a huge success, but will never reach that high of an attach rate. I don't know. I kind of read into it like here that with the way that Jim Ryan speaks, with the way that he seems to have his mindset when he says things like how he wants to keep bringing games to the PS4 because he doesn't want to cut out that audience, and the fact that Sony has recently bought a studio that specializes in PC ports, I actually think that we might be just a few years away from Sony's strategy, with the PS5 being very similar to Xboxes, actually.
So then, like, actually makes me think of a question right now. Like, do you think that is it viable for, you know how like Nintendo called like the DS like the third pillar? Like, we're gonna support the Game Boy
Hmm.
Advance and the GameCube and the DS. It's
Yes.
like our third pillar. Like, do you think that they're gonna do a situation where like PS4 is like their third pillar, like PS4, PSVR, PS5, and they're all gonna be supported together? So that way, like the PlayStation family has 200 million units because the PS4 and the PS5 combined, they're still supported. There's that kind of stuff. Like, is that a
Right.
way to pull that
Um,
off?
for the time being, that may be the strategy for this year, even for next year. But I think at some point that actually transitions into being PlayStation 5, PlayStation VR, PC, and perhaps mobile, actually, because Sony has already talked about how they're putting some games on mobile and stuff. And obviously, it's not going to be the same games. I don't think PlayStation is ready to do an xCloud type of thing yet. That we haven't heard anything about that, so I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. But I think we might see some of their franchises. It seems like Sony's doing more franchise care, kind of like how Nintendo has done for a really long time now. You
Hmm.
know, we're gonna get a Last of Us show. We're gonna get a Twisted Metal show. I think we might start seeing a situation similar to how at some point we had a Mario game on a phone, a Mario game on the DS, and a Mario game on the Wii U. You know, we might get a next like an Uncharted mobile game, and then a next entry in the Uncharted series that is on PS5. And then the Uncharted trilogy comes to PC. I feel like they're really going to start playing the whole gamut of platforms that they can. Perhaps not with the same game, but with representing their franchises on all platforms.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't even know if
Mm.
it's even possible. Like, if what I was even asking is possible. Like, imagine like the idea of like the PS4 being supported for the entire PS5 generation. Like I think the last time that's ever happened was the PS2 being discontinued like a year before the PS3 or the PS3 ended. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like the first party is going to cut the umbilical cord eventually, but it's going to continue at least till the end of 2022. It looks like. Yeah.
okay, fair enough. We'll go ahead and talk some more about PlayStation 5 right now because this next article comes to us from Video Game Chronicles, or Video Game Chronicle. I guess it's a singular. But anyways, Sony has opened registration for the chance to buy a PS5 in the U.S. So this is kind of like that lottery system that happened with the pre-orders last year. The company is offering a limited number of direct PS5 sales for the holiday season. So, US based customers hoping to purchase a PlayStation 5 console can now register their interest directly with Sony for a chance to do so. The company said it would be making a limited number of PS5 consoles available for consumers in the US to purchase directly from PlayStation this holiday season. Those interested in buying one can register here on that link that's in this article. For an opportunity to do so, they should use an email address associated with the PlayStation Network ID and opt in. Those bastards opt in to receive marketing emails because we don't get enough spam as it is. In an FAQ, Sony said in its selection process, it's based on the previous interest and PlayStation activities. If selected to buy a PS5, customers will be contacted by email with further instructions on how to do so. Once contacted, they will have a limited amount of time to place their order before the invitation expires. While customers based outside the U.S. will be able to place orders if selected, products can only be shipped to a U.S. address. Fair enough. Console manufacturers have been struggling with the stock shortage for over 18 months after the COVID-19 pandemic shut down essential supply chains and saw demand for gaming devices increase as countries implemented social distancing measures. Anyways, I think we'll go ahead and end it there. That's the story. Yeah, this I missed out because I don't know if I'd ever told you the story, but I got the email last year in my inbox for
Oh,
me to
did
do a
you?
pre-order to that exclusive invite pre-order thing, and
Yeah.
I don't check my emails. Like, I have like 1,000 unread emails in my inbox that I need to go through and start deleting and stuff. And
Dang.
so when I saw it like after the fact, I was like, "Fuck!" I was so pissed. I was pissed at myself. And so now that I bought a Scout PS5, it just kind of sucks knowing that maybe I could have probably ran into this lottery. I could have won this lottery system. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts?
Isn't it crazy that we live in a world where almost an entire year after a console coming out,
You're
you
still
have
in a
to
lottery.
rely you have to rely on a lottery system for the chance to buy it. Um, and I have nobody to yell at because it's just the circumstances of the situation. I have a friend who argues that Sony messed up on this, and that had they been had they better anticipated demand earlier on, that they could have sorted out the situation despite the shortages. But I don't know enough about it to really make that case. So all I have to say is that it's surprising. It's surprising that we're still living this, and it makes me wonder at this point, in the next holiday season in 2022, is this still going to be the case?
Another
And
lottery next year.
unfortunately, we don't know. We don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I would bet $1 that there would be still another lottery next year. I don't
Just
even
a dollar,
just
though.
$1 because I don't want to lose too much. But like the way I see it, it's like uh, there's I'm not entirely sure with the demand is never going to be really met. Like with the demand being as high, it almost feels like as if like 40 million people want a PS5, but there's only like 10 million to go around, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it, it's kind of interesting how like when I was at Best Buy, all the PS5 accessories were there. Like it used to be like when I was Best Buy, the media remote was sold out, the camera was sold out, the Pulse headset was sold out, and now I was at Best Buy the other day, just casually in there, and I saw that all three of those bad boys were in stock, and I didn't buy. I already had my Pulse headset, but I didn't buy the other two. I was like, nah.
Mhm.
So, um, but yeah, we'll go ahead and keep it pushing. I wonder. Wait, hold on. One last thing I thought occurred to me. Xbox, is Xbox Series X gonna have a lottery?
I haven't heard of anything coming from there. I know that they're still having some supply issues as well, but I think they have not been as pronounced on the Xbox space as they have been on the PlayStation. And I also have not heard of them running any kind of system like this, but maybe
I
they are.
I think we're more likely, or no, I think we're less likely to be able to buy the PS5 in stores next year still. So,
Hmm.
anyways, next up comes from Ars Technica. Best Buy is offering you the ability to buy a PS5, but it's paywalled behind a membership that costs $200. So the annual subscription might be worth for certain buyers. This is like a very mafioso, very much like a shakedown, man. This is interesting. If you're still searching for a PS5 and you are a Best Buy customer, your ship may have just come in. That is, if you're willing to spend an extra $200 for $200 a year for access. That's because the big box electronics retailer is locking stock of an in-demand holiday item like Sony's console behind membership of its new Total Tech program. The expensive customer service package was recently rolled out nationwide. The $200 annual service, which has benefits like round-the-clock tech support, up to 2 years of protection on Best Buy purchases, including Apple Care Plus insurance, which can cost $200 on its own, and member discounted prices, is throwing in exclusive access to the season's hardest to find products as bonus perks for the holidays, the company said in a statement. The Best Buy retail site had the $500 disk drive model PS5 available for Total Tech members to buy Monday morning, with the consoles gated behind an exclusive access event paywall. Instead of selling out instantly, its stock lasted between 90 minutes and 2 hours, a relatively glacial sales pace compared to the insane demand for the hardware that consumers have faced since it hit stores last November. So, VIP scalping fees? Question mark. Although the PS5 listings pointed directly to Total Tech membership exclusivity while the hardware was still available, its seemingly unrelated VIP buying privileges aren't listed anywhere on the program's membership benefits and FAQ pages. We would not be shocked to see other highly desired products that have been affected by chip shortages follow suit, particularly high-end PC GPUs and Xbox Series X and S consoles. The service is replacing a Best Buy beta program that tested in select markets starting in April. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end the article there. And yeah, that's my first impression when I read this article was like this is like a very much like a shakedown. Like this is like, like what do you call it? It's like, hey, if you don't like what we're doing here, you can take a hike. That kind of shit. So I don't know. What do you think?
It's kind of interesting because Amazon Prime is a service that a lot of people pay for, right? And you spend $100 a month or $100 a year or somewhere around there. I think they have some discounts and stuff in order to be able to get certain deals and not pay for shipping fees and get your products delivered quickly and etc. And you also get Prime Video included with that. And a lot of people would argue that all around that's a great deal, right? Now, imagine if Amazon had a thing where, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get an exclusive first dibs at buying a PS5 or an Xbox or a GPU, right? An NVIDIA, one of the new NVIDIA GPUs. I think that a lot of people would look at that and be like, cool, that's fine. There's just a new benefit. Now, the question here
Everybody
is
has
that,
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or a lot of people do at least.
Yeah.
And basically the $100 is already paid for by the benefits themselves. So it's almost like just this extra perk.
Yeah.
The issue here, I think, is that we don't know enough about this new program, but it comes across like it's not necessarily that great a deal for the average user to go and spend $200 a year for this Best Buy annual fee. This is not going to get you nearly as much benefits as Amazon Prime does, and it's double the price. So it's just a much spicier deal, which then makes the whole situation seem more problematic because you really comes across like you're trying to entice people to go and drop $200 just because they're desperate to get some of these items like the PS5 and the Xbox and etc. Generally, I think, Best Buy is in their right to try to create a membership model like that. I think in some ways they are trying to compete with Amazon Prime, not in the same scale, but in some ways. And they're in the rights to add this as a benefit to it, but it's a bad deal. At the end of the day, it just comes across like a bad deal all around. It is not a great thing for consumers, unless, and here's the exception to the rule, if you would already be interested in this deal anyway, if you already think that maybe you want to save on your
iPhone 13 and Apple Care was basically paid for, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So if you already want to do something like that, then great for you, man. Then you get an easier route to get your PS5 as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think, other than that, though, I think this is just basically free money for Best Buy. If you think about it, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't pay. Like, there's when it comes to like subscription loyalty programs, the people that like really like take advantage of every perk and benefit they're very a small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you subscribe to something and you forget that you're even subscribing to it. So like, there were months that I didn't even like launch my Hulu app at all, even though I'm paying for Hulu once a month. There are people that get the AMC A list and they don't watch 12 movies a month. They just maybe watch one,
Right.
if that.
The funny thing about the A list is that just 2 movies a month would be enough to compensate for the price, I believe, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think on 3 you're guaranteed already to be getting a good deal on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. Even when I had A list, I kind of had to keep reminding myself, like, oh yeah, like I got to go to the movie theater because I got to make this month count, And there were months where I just didn't feel like it, honestly. Like, there were months where, maybe an entire month went by where I just didn't feel like going to the movies. Or maybe 2 months went by where I didn't feel like going to the movies. There was nothing that interested me. So, yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's a great deal on paper, but when you actually have it and you do the math, like, I remember at the end of the year, I did the math and I looked at all the movies I actually did go out and see. And I think that I did get a deal, but it wasn't that much of a deal as I initially thought, like the margin was actually pretty small. Like if I had bought all those tickets. And then the other thing is I asked myself, like, okay, but aren't there movies here that maybe I only went to see because I had the subscription. That, the truth is, if I didn't have it, if I didn't have A-list, maybe I would have only watched 6 movies in the year, and I would have been happy with that. And I would have actually saved money in the grand scheme of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting to ask yourself those questions every
Yeah, so
once in a
basically
while.
that's what's at play here. And for the most part, like I said, when you run a numbers game, it's free money to Best Buy. And they're struggling because retail is hurting in general. So,
Yep,
and there's
yep, yep,
really
yep.
there's no wrong answer here is what I'm trying to get at. So, all right. We'll go ahead and move it on to Polygon. It says here, Nintendo says the new OLED Switch has, quote, improved Joy-Cons, but drift still persists. So let's see here. Since the Nintendo Switch launched in 2017, there's been one consistent problem: Joy-Con drift. It's persisted over the years, and though different upgrades and models, and it seems Nintendo's new OLED model will likely see the same fate. Joy-Con drift is a problem of durability that occurs when joysticks drift or move without user input, causing a character to move unintentionally. Nintendo said in July that the new OLED model released Friday would use the same old Joy-Cons as other models, but Nintendo is now clarifying that some improvements have been made on the original design. They have not said what, but whatever. In a lengthy interview published by Nintendo's website, Nintendo developer Ko Shioda and Toru Yamashita spoke about the invisible improvements to the Joy-Con design over the years, noting that the company has continuously worked to improve Joy-Con durability. Quote, the parts of the Joy-Con analog stick are not something that can be bought off of the shelf, but are specifically designed, so we have undergone a lot of consideration to improve them, Yamashita said. In addition, we have improved the reliability test itself, and we have continued to make changes to improve durability and clear this new test. So, yeah. I'm gonna just skip here. I'm just read these next 2 paragraphs. It says the problem, though, is that Nintendo said that Joy-Con wear is, quote, unavoidable. Yes, for example, car tires wear out as the car moves, as they are in constant friction with the ground to rotate. So with that same premise, we asked ourselves, how can we improve durability? And not only that, but how can both operability and durability coexist? There we go. I almost fucked that up. It's something we are continuously tackling. So
Yeah.
I believe them. I believe that there
Mhm.
were some later revisions that that are a little bit better, but it's not solving the problem. Which is really interesting. Why can't we just miniaturize the sticks that were in I don't know, a GameCube, you know what I mean, or a PS3 that don't have drift, you know what I mean? So it's we should have already solved this a long time ago, is what I'm thinking. But I don't know. Not an engineer, obviously, but it is what it is. What are your thoughts?
I feel like we can't help but have to believe them, right? Because it's been long enough. They've acknowledged it. They have a cost of fixing the Joy Cons for the people that send it in and stuff, and I believe they do it for free. Um, and they've had many revisions of the Joy Cons. I mean, this article demonstrates that they've actually been updating and improving on the Joy Cons. That the Joy Con you get right now when you buy the new Switch OLED is not the same Joy-Con you got originally on your Switch when you first bought it in 2017. So if they were, the truth is there's the logic here is that if they were able to fix this, they would have. It's just very weird. It's very weird that they're not able to fix this and that it remains a problem. It is not cool. It's not okay. But at the same time, at some point, you just kind of got to understand that certain things might be out of our control and also out of Nintendo's control to an extent too. Like you said, you're not an engineer. I'm a software engineer, but I'm not a hardware engineer, so I don't understand what's going on there either and why they couldn't fix it. I was thinking about how small the Joy Cons are and how little space there is in there for that technology that they have. But at the same time, think about the PSP, and
Oh,
think about the Vita,
you know what?
and
Why
think
didn't we just do circle pads from the 3DS as instead of
right.
sticks?
Well, people tend to like the actual sticks better, but
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, did they use the circle pads that they used on the DS? Was this part of the reason? Because it was easier hardware wise to make that work without issues. I think we can only hope that they slowly get better, and that the maybe every Joy-Con is going to have a lifespan of where at some point it's going to
Hours.
start
Like
drifting.
the number of hours you can play without it fucking up the game.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe we can hope that it will go up from whatever it was originally, right? Like, I don't know, like 500 hours to 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000 or whatever. You know.
Um, I just want to say, like, wouldn't an easier solution be to be like sell jumbo Joy Cons? Like for
Right,
instance,
right,
there's
right.
a there's a there's a I sent you a link like a while back, a couple weeks
Yes,
ago,
yes, yes.
about these Joy Cons that are made by a third party, but they're fat and they're like they have full size like pro controller sticks on them. But
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, damn, this looks great. I kind of want it.
so why don't they make
Yeah,
Nintendo officially make a first party option where you can buy your Switch, like here's your $300 Switch with Joy Cons, but sell it separately. You can buy a Pro controller that you can attach to the side of your Switch, and there you go,
right.
problem solved.
True, true, true.
But it does
Maybe
fuck
they
up
look at
it does fuck up portability, yes, but it would be the
yeah,
customer's choice.
right. Maybe they look at the Pro controller being available as already being their solution to that in a way, right? Because I don't think the Pro controller has the same drift
No,
issues.
it
But
doesn't.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, I'm glad you watched the video that I sent you, by the way,
hmm
because you didn't reply back, you bitch.
I must have forgotten. I sometimes do that, but yep, no, it looked great. I thought it was pretty cool.
All right, I'm not gonna read this story here. I want to keep it moving on time. But the next article the dad put on the doc here is more evidence suggests that the Switch OLED dock can support 4K. Basically, TLDR is a chip. It's got that higher bandwidth capacity. It has an HDMI 2.0 like built in, so that signal that throughput on 2.0 can support 4K. My personal okay, conspiracy theory. All right,
hmm
with the new Switch OLED, there was a new OS update, and in the system settings, you can actually update the dock. The dock can be updated, like straight up, like you can
hmm
update your controllers. So there's a possibility that they're just gonna unlock the shotgun gun,
Yeah,
and then there's
like they
that.
did with
Uh,
Bluetooth audio, right? That
yes.
we could put, like, people wanted the Switch Pro. Maybe the Switch Pro is an update we get in a year, or something.
So
Yeah.
there's that possibility that upscaling whatever the hell, or more likely, and this is the where I fall in as far as conspiracy theories, is that it's just gonna be whenever streaming services are on the Switch. So like you have Hulu and YouTube on the Switch, but there are YouTube videos and episodes of shows and stuff on Hulu that are 4K. But if you dock it on the TV, you're going to be limited to 1080p. And what if you have a 4K TV at home? Nobody wants that. So you just have a
Hmm.
4K capable dock, and it pushes out that HDR crispy image. No gameplay required. Just stream a show. That's my uh, guess.
Perfect. Yeah, we could. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I don't know. So I sort of ball hogged. Dan, did you have anything to add?
No, that's about it. I think that's interesting. I thought it was important that we included this here just because we mentioned it as an extra news last week, and you're kind of like, "What? Like that doesn't make any sense." And then now, we're finding more stuff about it, and trying to figure out what it means. And I think you're spot on with what it means. Where I think it's either one of the two, or if not both, where we're going to see 4K support for video apps, which surprisingly up to this point we only got one on the Switch.
Yeah,
Um, or maybe two if you count. I think there was like
YouTube.
a Pokemon TV
Well,
thing.
YouTube and Hulu I count, so that's two.
Oh, YouTube as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe that's part of it. But maybe the other thing too is that maybe in the future we will see an update where certain games maybe will support 4K. I feel like maybe they didn't make that a crucial part of the new system because they can't have it be supported across the board. But maybe in the future we can have a very light game could possibly run in 4K, and maybe the Switch hardware could handle that.
Okay, all right. So finally, the last story here for top news. We have shareholders have pressured Microsoft into rethinking its approach to right to repair. Now that is a buzzy ass topic that never dies in tech and stuff like that. Even Apple has been on like
Hmm.
the ropes for stories like these. Um, so this comes from VG 24/7. Microsoft is the first major tech company. I'm sorry, Microsoft is one of the first major tech companies to respond to calls to re-examine its stance on right to repair, and has pledged to rethink its stance on the subject and make changes to its policies by the end of next year. Okay. Per Grist and the shareholder advocacy group As You Sow, Microsoft is willing to address the concerns of the right to repair. Oh, that's misspelled, by the way. Those bastards. Okay.
And that's like the third misspelled word on this article, by the way. I just
The right to
but
repair
anyway.
movement, and has agreed to hire an independent consultant to look into the benefits of giving consumers more tools and rights when it comes to repairing their own tech. Just gotta say, man, you guys, this website has to have editors. God damn it, there has to be spell check, whatever. Anyways, traditionally, access to parts and repair documentation has been made intentionally tricky for consumers as companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Samsung prefer to coax consumers into using expensive repair partners or buying new products outright to replace faulty goods. As so conducted a shareholder resolution back in June this year asking Microsoft to look into environmental and social benefits of allowing consumers to repair their own devices, and the pressure seems to have worked. Microsoft will publish a summary of its findings by May 2022, and through the advocacy group, says the pledge is an encouraging step. It remains to be seen how much Microsoft is going to change its policies. As per The Verge, Microsoft will use this step as a guide for its product design and plans for expanding repair options in the future. So it could yet amount to the very little changes, which probably true. It's worth noting at this point also that Microsoft has historically been involved with lobbying against the right to repair laws. Those bastards. But anyways, yeah, I'll go ahead and stop it there. Dan, do you have a diatribe on this one?
I don't know too much about the right to repair movement. In fact, I don't even think I knew that there was a movement before I read this article.
Interesting.
But the truth is that I believe that we should have the right to repair our own products. I think that the fact that companies push so strongly against that is bullshit, and it is really it is a way to monopolize the means of repairing a product, which is ultimately bad for the end consumer. If you're not given the choice of getting the parts and repairing something yourself, or finding somebody to repair it for you, and your only choice is to go through like the official company way, then that makes it so that they can charge whatever the fuck they want for it. And through my
Or
experience, I've noticed that repair
overcharge.
costs,
Yeah.
yeah, repair costs are often way overcharged. It's often, something people will say sometimes with certain things. It's like,
Buy a new
oh,
one. Yeah.
just go and buy a new one, right? In fact, I just went out and I bought a new iPhone recently because of that, because I had dropped it a year ago and it broke the screen, but I was just kind of rocking the broken screen for a while, and then I dropped it again a few months ago, and then it broke it even further, and the cost to repair was like $300. So I figured, this iPhone, it's not more expensive than a new iPhone, but I figured this iPhone is kind of a little outdated anyway, so that's more of a reason to get one, to get a new one, which I'm just falling straight into the
Their
fucking
traps.
trap,
Yeah.
right? So and I know that there are people out there that are fixing iPhones and et cetera. So it's not like that was my only choice. But the other thing too is people already often default to the like fixing it with the company. Like if I would rather Apple fix my iPhone than anybody else. But if things like this get better, and if the right to repair movement makes more progress with this stuff, and hopefully they can with Microsoft, then hopefully it will drive costs down. And that's what I care about. I'm still probably going to go to Apple. I'm even down to pay a little bit more to go to Apple versus, the somebody on the corner fixing my iPhone that I don't know and don't necessarily trust. I'm probably going to go to Microsoft to fix my Microsoft products, but I want to see competitive pricing, and I think that's ultimately what this wants to drive towards.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there is a point to be said about the environmental friendly stuff. Like, whenever like electronics gets scrapped or not recycled properly because it's trash, whatever, it gets dumped. It's kind of
Hmm.
that's like rare earth metal. That's like rare earth metals that are just not that are going to waste. So I think it's interesting for like the longevity of a product that you can buy a product that lasts you so many years, or the lifespan of these things can last longer, which is not a good thing for the company's bottom line because Apple wants more iPhone sales, Microsoft wants more PCs sold or whatever the fuck. I guess Microsoft is more of a software company now than they are a hardware company, but it is what it is. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the extra news. There are, let's see here. Okay, not too bad. There's 12 items on the list when you factor in the other two things. So let's go ahead and move on and see here. Number one, we got the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing is objecting to the proposed settlement between Activision Blizzard and the Equal Opportunity Commission, according to Axios' Stephen Totillo. I have no idea what I just read. I'm just gonna say.
Okay, so do you remember how Activision was getting sued for frat boy culture and sexual
Ah,
harassment and all these
yeah,
other
yeah, yeah,
things?
yeah. No.
We later covered that they were doing a settlement for I don't remember, $12 million or something. Their settlement is getting opposed by the California Department of Fair Employment. So we'll see. The situation is not resolved yet. Is ultimately what the story is. The Activision Blizzard lawsuit situation is not yet resolved.
Nice, interesting. Okay. Number two, Marvel's Avengers is now selling paid XP boosts, and the internet isn't too happy about that. Those bastards. Number three, Rockstar Games has officially announced the GTA Trilogy, the definitive edition, which includes improved versions of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. It comes to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC later this year. Number four, an employee at Chinese studio Virtuos has confirmed it's working on an unannounced AAA action adventure game remake. Following VGC's report that it's been handed the Metal Gear Solid license. Number five, composer Koichi Sugiyama, known for his contributions to the music of Dragon Quest, has died at the age of 90. R.I.P. Number six, System Shock live action series based on video game franchise is in the works from Binge and Night Dive Studios. Number seven, Xbox Series X and S have cleared 100,000 consoles sold in Japan, putting the platform on course to clear the lifetime sales of Xbox One in just 1 year. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
A little bit. A little bit. It's like a victory, but you're announcing a defeat at the same time. Number eight, Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced that November's PlayStation Plus games will include 3 bonus PlayStation VR titles. Yay! Yeah. All right. Number 9, Nintendo UK has announced that European versions of Nintendo 64 games for Nintendo Switch Online members will run at 60 hertz and not 50 hertz as previously feared. Yay, that's a W right there. Number 10, Epic has acknowledged that its new Fortnite mode, Imposters, is inspired by Inner Sloths Among Us after the developers accused it of plagiarism. Of course it is. God, okay. And number 11, a bit of a check this out. Check this out. All right. Celebrate 20 years of play together with the 20th anniversary of hardware and more. So it's a brand new Xbox Series controller and a headset, and it's a see-through, like a translucent kind of thing, kind of like the atomic purple Nintendo 64 controller, but gray or black or whatever. So, not really. I don't know. This does nothing for me. What about you, Dan?
I think the controller looks pretty cool, but I already got 2 Xbox controllers, and I don't think I need any more, so I'll probably won't be buying it.
Yeah,
But
that
cool
is
nonetheless.
it. Yeah, it's got a cool little 20 in there. So yeah, I see it. All right, and finally the roundup. We have let's see here. Ubisoft has delayed Ghost Recon Frontlines tech test following fan backlash. A new studio was opened by State of Decay and Arena Net founder Jeff Strain, And Sledgehammer Games has opened a new studio in the UK. Surprisingly, this roundup doesn't have any new game announcements, so there you go.
Yeah, I didn't see any new game announcements this week, nor delays, which is usually what I put in there. So I was
Yeah.
like, studio openings.
Dan, what do you want to react to?
um, let's see. I think the Xbox Japan sales is an interesting one. You hear 100,000 sales in a country, especially a highly populated country, and that is a fairly low number. But there is something to be said about the fact that Xbox has historically had a terrible presence in Japan. And now the Series X, in its first year, was able to surpass the lifetime of the Xbox One. It doesn't mean that it's selling great, but it means that it's selling better. The other thing I was going to say is that I feel like this can also, because we don't have sales numbers for the Xbox, right? Neither the Xbox One or the Xbox Series, but we have heard from Phil Spencer this is the best selling Xbox yet, or at least around the launch window. That was something that they kept talking about. I think this is just a little piece of data that kind of confirms that narrative that, this is the most successful Xbox. Is it enough to compete with the PS5 and console sales? Probably not, but it is enough to compete with Microsoft themselves when comparing to their past
No, I just kind of.
successes.
This
So,
actually kind of makes me want to think about like what's the sales number for the PS5 in Japan. That would be a better
yeah.
apples to apples comparison, I would say.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah. We can probably look that up. Now, let's remember that Sony is a Japanese company and dominates Japan anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's probably going to be like 10 times that, but um, well, I don't know. I don't know. And then the GTA trilogy. We talked about how that was a rumored thing. Now it's officially announced. Are you excited, Louis? Is this something that you're going to be picking up and checking out?
No, I don't really
Okay.
care. It's not. This
What are
does
you
nothing for
doing?
me.
It's
Uh,
one of those. It's one of those where I want to. I definitely probably will. But I also don't know if I'm going to have the time to really dig into it too much because those games are long.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I would love to.
I have no like nostalgia for any of these games. I completely missed out on it on the PS2,
Mhm.
and also like I was kind of hoping that this article that you brought up in the doc, but this article doesn't have any screenshots. Like I would have hoped that whatever announcements they were gonna have was gonna come in tow with a trailer, which we can see what it looks like, how it runs, or some kind of semblance of like promotional material. But maybe it's just an announcement. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that's out there yet. We don't have a release date either,
yeah.
but it's coming later this year. I think it's being speculated for December.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's coming later this year, and here we are in October, midway through October. The year is almost over. so,
Yep,
um,
yep, yep, yep.
so yeah, is Marvel's Avengers with it selling the XP boost? Wasn't it a situation where like the developers like promised that wouldn't happen, or
Yeah,
am I?
so people are upset because here's the thing.
Developers lie.
Originally, apparently, what?
So developers lie.
Well,
what?
originally the developer said that was not going to be a thing that they would do, and now it is. But I also think that what we need to bring into context here is that the scenario in which the game exists has changed. Right, the game is now available on Xbox Game Pass. I believe the game is available on PlayStation now as well. So I think this game, my theory is that this game is pivoting it into becoming a free to play game,
Hmm.
effectively. So when you have a free to play game, then you got to have sources of revenue, and things like that are good, reliable sources of revenue. So my guess is that this game originally, because it was intended as a $60 package, that it would not have made sense for them to do it then. But now that they're distributing it with Game Pass and possibly, my theory is that they're testing the waters to just have this game be free to play on our platforms, and that if it is, then it makes sense that they would also be testing different monetization techniques and whether you never know as a developer. So sometimes you got to put things out there and like, oh, let's see if people buy this if it's out there, and then you measure it and you decide whether you want to go that route or not. So I think they're kind of testing the waters to see whether they want to go free to play with Avengers probably next year.
So I'm looking at all these screenshots or like these images of all these swagged out costumes, right? And these costumes look dope, by
Hmm.
the way. But like when this sort of like brings me to like this thought of like my childhood is like whenever you wanted to, cheat, you would like bring out a book and it has like like the up down like codes and stuff like that to get like alternate shit or whatever or unlockables. But now it's like if you wanna have all those unlockables and all that cool shit, you instead of pulling out a book with the codes and stuff like that, you have to pull out a credit card. So,
Yes.
but yeah.
True.
I would this game would bother me to tell you the truth. Like, I don't like I like a certain like OCD about me, and like, if I were to play this game and I couldn't like play to unlock these skins, then I would just be pissed. So, but yeah,
That's not the case of Fortnite, though.
I know. Well, actually, I was with Fortnite. I resisted for like a long time. It wasn't until
Hmm.
they actually put like cool skins. Okay, so before Fortnite like had like Marvel integrations and stuff like that, they would just make original characters, and I didn't give a fuck about these original characters. These skins, they could kiss my ass. It was when so like they had
Hmm.
like your Iron Mans and your Captain Americas. It's like, oh, okay, well now here's my money, that kind of stuff. So yeah. But anyways, I think I don't really have anything else I wanted to react to on the extra news. So I believe it is time for me to pass the show over to you, Dan.
What are you buying?
All right, so going through our new releases and updates here. First, there is a Quake's 25th Anniversary Enhanced Edition. It released for PC and consoles in August, but it has just received a next gen upgrade for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. I believe that this supports 4K as well as 120 FPS. So, if you're a big Quake fan, you might want to go check that out. Then on to the actual new games coming out. We got Crysis Remastered Trilogy coming out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on October 15th, which is the same day as Demon's Lair, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles is coming out for all those platforms that I listed before. So the PlayStations, the Xboxes, the Nintendos, and the PC. The Hinokami Chronicles is a spectacular arena fighter from the team at CyberConnect 2. The Let's Players relive the memorable moments of Tanjiro Kamado, Unwavering Resolve Arc, and Mugen Train Arc. Follow Tanjiro through the story from the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba anime as he faces demons in order to turn his sister Nezuko, who has become a demon, back into a human. I just wanted to spotlight this game because I'm a fan of the show, I'm a fan of the movie, and I remember seeing this game in one of the directs or some presentation that we watched and reacted to. On the same day, October 15th, which is the day the show comes out, we also got NHL 22 coming out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One, as well as The Good Life coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. The next week, on October 18th, we got Nuclear Blaze coming out on PC. The next day, we got Inscription coming out on PC, Into the Pit coming out on Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC. And then on October 20th, Corpse Party 2021 is coming out on Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Grotto is coming out on PC. Townscaper is coming out on iOS and Android. And on October 21, we got Echo Generation coming out on Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC, as well as the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes coming out on the PlayStations, on the Xboxes, and on the PC. A military unit searching for chemical weapons unearths something far deadlier. In the ruins of a buried Sumerian temple, deep beneath the Arabian desert, something evil is awakened. Savage and unstoppable, a nest of ancient and unearthly creatures has found a new prey to hunt. Horrific discoveries and impossible decisions face the unit as they strive to navigate a subterranean labyrinth and escape the terrifying threat. Will they each prioritize their own survival or put aside their fears and their personal rivalries to fight together as one? That is, of course, the newest game on the Dark Pictures anthology, which are being developed by Super Massive Games, the developers of the game Until Dawn.
Yep. And I'm actually surprised that this game is even coming out because it feels like there was like no marketing blitz for this. I'm just now hearing about it just now. So
That's kind of true for all of those. This is already the third Dark Pictures game, or third or fourth actually, because we had it was
the
Man
last
of
one didn't
Medan.
review so well either, by the way.
I don't think any of them did. Like, I mean,
Oh,
like Until Dawn, right? Like, so I think Until Dawn. I think Until Dawn's Metacritic, if I had to guess, is probably like on the 80s, and I don't think any of these games got even close to that. I think they're all 60s or 70s or even lower than that. So yeah, we got Man of Medan, and then the second one. Damn, I'm blanking now, but there
I
was a
thought Man of
second
Medan was
one,
the
and then
last one.
no, that was the first.
Oh shit.
I almost want to look this up now. We have time, so let's bring
Okay.
some extra information here on what the Dark Pictures anthology games are.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up here, I just gotta ask you: does the meme "But can it run Crisis" even still relevant anymore? You know what I mean?
Well, Switch can run Crisis, the Crisis Remaster trilogy. So,
Yeah.
so Man of Medan was 2019.
Damn. It's been
Then,
that long.
God damn, I just had the information already. Yeah. Then Little Hope was 2020,
Yeah.
and House of Ashes
Damn. They're
was
putting
2021.
they're putting these bitches out as quickly as a Telltale game. So
Yeah. But they're getting very little buzz. Here we go. So Man of Medan, the Metacritic is 75 on PC, 69 on PS4, and 69 on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Little Hope is 73 on PC, 71 on PS4, and 67 on Xbox One.
Yeah.
So those games are ranging from fine to good, but they're not Until Dawn.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess pick of the week has got to be Demon Slayer. I guess. So.
I don't know. There's not a strong pick this week.
I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. It's like whenever we did the show, like I always operate under the assumption that there has to be a pick of the week. I think I've only done it once this entire show where it's like, oh, there's no pick.
If I were picking it, I'll give it to House of Ashes just because I really like Until Dawn. But I won't play it.
All right. Next up.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
It's the Broke Gamers Guide. We're first going to hit up our Epic Store free games of the week here. We got 2 games this week. The Paladins Epic Pack, as well as Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse. I remember hearing about that recently. Those will be available until October 21st. And for the next week, allegedly, we got Among the Sleep Enhanced Edition.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good pick right there. I played that game. It's really good.
So, Paladins Epic Pack, let's see what this is.
I believe it's just a free to play game that they're giving you like extra shit. Like that's already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump into Paladins with this Epic Games exclusive bundle for a limited time. The Paladins Epic Pack instantly unlocks 4 champions and bonus cosmetics for each one. Developed by Evil Mojo Games, published by Hi-Res Studios. Okay, so a little add-on there. And now Stubbs the Zombie here. Be the zombie, kick ass, and take brains. It's 1959 and the city of Punchbowl, Pennsylvania, is a beacon of progress and ideal living. Show the living that law and order are no match for a dead man on a mission. This was...
I vaguely remember...
Isn't this a remake?
Yeah, I believe so. I vaguely remember IGN covering this game when it first came out. I think that's why I remember this.
Yeah. Developed by Aspire, who I think they're doing the Cold War remake, aren't they? They're doing one of those remake/remaster projects that are coming out soon. Yeah, I don't know anything about Stubbs the Zombie, but I think it was kind of like an old Xbox cult hit or something that
Fair. Yeah.
yeah,
Makes
that
sense,
recently
makes
got
sense.
re-released and stuff. But all right, and then I got just 2 small deals here on a website called Daily Steals. You can get Skyward Sword HD, which is still relatively new, for $42.99. I believe you need a promo code for this, though, and the promo code is ADSZLDA. Once again, that is ADSZLDA. Then on Amazon, you can get Paper Mario: The Origami King on Switch for $42.99. As well as some other Switch games that are also discounted. You can see down here under when the customers who view this item also viewed others. And, we got New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, Donkey Kong Country, Captain Toad. Usually those Switch games will get some discounts on Amazon.
Yep. And by the way, I actually bought like Metroid Prime. Oh, not Metroid Prime. Fuck, I meant to say
Dread?
Metroid Dread. Yeah, I bought Metroid Dread at Walmart, and it was $50. So
Nice.
they Nintendo is a lot of Switch games are like $10 off at Walmart. So like I saw Skyward Sword for 50. I saw like WarioWare down to 40, and so it's like they're all like $10 off. So
I actually hit up like two different places looking for Metroid Dread, and they didn't have it in stock. Like I think a GameStop I hit up didn't have it, and then I checked like another GameStop I think, and they didn't have it either. And then I ended up going to a Best Buy, and then at Best Buy at first I couldn't find the game. Then I asked them, and the guy thought he was like, "Oh, I don't know, I think they might be sold out, but let me go check in the back," kind of thing. And they went back, and then he found some copies there, and then I was able to buy it. But seems like a lot of people were buying Metroid Dread.
yeah,
Day one. So.
when I was at Walmart, there was like 7 copies left, so I bought one of them. So it was not a lot left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Lewis, that's it for my segment. So you can take it over and end the show.
So before we end the show, it's time to check our score here and see who is going to win. So since this is the last time we're going to be doing this, we're going to look at this. But it's kind of interesting how we did our normal, usual, hour and a half long episode, and they didn't even finish fighting. And we started the fight before we even started rolling. So let's see who wins.
Yeah.
All right. Before I turn around and look at the score, you're still feeling Mario on this one?
I'm just gonna say Mario because I can't see from here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Who's doing better?
But I just want to say, by the way, the loops happened like several times throughout. By the way, I noticed they were happening, so there's probably some stalling shenanigans that probably kept it from like the game from ending. But let's see here. I was right, Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario.
28 stocks to 12 stocks.
Oh dang! It's it's not even that close. Yeah, dang.
So
it's gonna have 10 plus stocks to spare by the end.
Yeah, so I guess what do you call it? The competitive players were right. Dr. Mario was better. So
Yeah.
which is not true in the later games, by the way. Dr. Mario was hella worse in Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate. So take that as you will. So yeah, it is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at ReadyPressPlay on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Chocolaka88 and Dan.
At Dan Lima.
So don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show and all that good stuff. See you next time.
Bye-bye.